So, know this. Killing is my business, ladies, and business is good.
Hello everyone, it's Khalif PvP bringing you another thief build. This time around I am doing World vs World / PVE / dungeon, only because there has been a lot of SPVP and tournament PvP thief builds, and I really don't think anybody has touched upon what are some viable builds for PvE and World vs World, and there are a lot of people that enjoy World vs World and PvE. So this particular build is primarily catered to you guys that are fans of World vs World. This build is the build that I currently do for while I play in Crystal Desert. It's my personal PvE build. I think it's an awesome build because it gives you much viability in terms of mass Zerg play and mass team play, such as dynamic events and dungeons and taking forts and whatnot. So let's get started on to our traits. This is very similar to my Heartseeker guide, except couple traits are kind of switched up to compensate for our PvE environment. So anyway, let's get started. It's 25 deadly arts rather, 30 critical strikes, and 15 trickery. In deadly arts, we pick up Mug, deal damage when stealing. Currently, with the stats that I have, Mug does about anywhere from 2.5k to 3.5k crit on I guess a high defense target. On a low defense target like a Mesmer, LE, or Necro with low toughness, it's easily a 5k crit, and not to mention that this comes free of charge. There's no initiative cost associated with it. Onto our 20 point, we pick up Venomous Strength. When applied, Venom's got 2 stacks of Might. This one is a free slot. You can pick up anything that you want, whatever kind of floats your playstyle. For me, I like to have that extra stack of Might. If you want, let's say you want to put another one of my favorites, Sundering Strikes, 40% chance to cause vulnerability. If you think this is more of your playstyle, by all means use that one. It's completely a free slot that you can use. The reason we go 25 points into deadly arts is that we are able to get exposed weakness, which means deal 10% more damage if your target has a condition. This build primarily synergizes around conditions and crits. Because we steal, we automatically apply poison for 10 seconds, and because of that poison, we are automatically now doing 10% more damage to the target. So again, poison from stealing, 10% extra damage, and Mug doing a crit. For our next trait slot, 30 strikes into critical strikes, 30 points into critical strikes rather, we pick up Fury's Retaliation, gain Fury for 10 seconds when your target reaches 50% health. For 20 points, practice Tolerance. This one, it's again a free slot. You can replace it with whatever you want. I personally picked up the Vitality because with the traits and gear that I have, my Vitality was quite low for PvP, so I pick up that to kind of compensate for the low Vitality that I have. For the 30 points, you want to pick up Execution and deal 20% extra damage when your target is below 50% health. So again, we get 20% extra damage plus 10% extra damage. So you're already stacking up those extra damage power in addition to whatever crits you're doing. 15 points into Trickery, we pick up Thrill of the Crime, which anytime you steal, nearby allies gain Fury, Might, and Swiftness for 10 seconds. This one synergizes really well with Steel because it actually applies the Fury, Swiftness, Might prior to Mug, which means 9 out of 10 times your Mug is going to crit. In addition to the crit, since you are in Fury, your Mug's crit is actually going to do 20% more damage than a regular crit will. So this one, it's really nice to synergize us really well with
Now on
with
to
steel.
our armor sets and weapon sets and accessories.
So this is a little bit different from SPVP because you don't have you can't really easily get these armor just by going and talking to a vendor. You want to kind of worry about availability, the cost, and whatever other constraints that you get. So I kind of want to do a general overview of armor to kind of show you guys what kind of armor and stats you want to build. Most of my armor is Berserkers, which gives me power, precision, and crit damage. And then, to build my defense, I have a little bit of sprinkled Knight's armor in there so I can get some toughness out of it as well. Most of my upgrade slots, I put Emerald Orbs, which give me precision, toughness, power. This kind of compensates for the glass cannon build with those extra toughness coming in. Again, you try to build Berserker as much as you can. But if it's not available, you can go for Knights. Knights is also really great because of that extra toughness that you get. For the two weapon sets, I built Berserker again, which gives me power, precision, crit damage. I have dual daggers on one set and a short bow on the other. For the dual daggers, I pick up Sigil of Air, which gives me 30% chance to crit on a lightning strike. Again, just like in SPVP, this comes in really handy because it adds an extra 1,000 crit damage, 1,000 damage rather, anytime I crit. So those 2k crits that I can get from auto attacks end up becoming 3k. For my short bow, I picked up a Carrion short bow, which gives me power, precision, condition damage. The reason I do that is because two of my AoE skills from the short bow applies condition damage, and if I'm using the short bow, chances are I'm in range and not really getting hit, so that extra toughness from short bow is kind of wasteful. So I pick up the Carrion so I can get that extra condition damage with the short bow. For the upgrade slot, I pick up Sigil of Fire, which 20% chance to crit on a critical. So again, since the short bow is primarily an AoE weapon, I want to pick up an AoE Sigil so that it procs. From my experience, this procs fairly often, and it's definitely a must-have for World vs. World. For our accessory slots, I went with power, precision, either condition damage or toughness. You can use either or. I just went with whatever was available and whatever was cheap at the time to buy. You can substitute that with toughness if you can find a power, precision, toughness equipment, which from my experience at least, it was really tough to come by. Now on to our weapon skills and utility skills. Starting off, we'll go with double daggers. We have our auto attack, and thanks to our skills and stats that we have, our auto attack actually does about 2,000 on its final hit, which is Lotus Strike, and anywhere from 600 crits to 1,000 crits on double strike and wild strike. Heartseeker, this one we don't use until your target gets around 40% health is what my personal preference is. I usually just either backstab and then auto attack until that time. So again, you definitely don't want to use it above 50% because it's a waste of traits. Below 50% and definitely below 25%, you definitely want to use this skill. So it's up to you. It's definitely up to your personal playstyle and whatever kind of how the flow of battle goes. Death Blossom, we don't use this skill at all. It doesn't do that much damage, especially considering this is not a condition heavy build. So the bleeding that we get with Death Blossom is completely useless to us, and the initiative cost of it 5 is way too high for the little damage that you do. Now that isn't to say that you don't you kind of want to forget about it from your bar. Some situations might call for a dodge and you are in your dagger stat, so you kind of want to use this as an evasive skill rather than a damage dealing skill. For Dance and Dagger, this is a really nice build, nice skill that completely surprised me. But we use this as our crippling skill so we can close the distance from a target. But from what I've seen with the stats that I have, it crits for about 1400 to 1500, 1400 to 2000 damage. So it was a really nice surprise for me to kind of experience that. Now we have Cloak and Dagger. It does about 1000 damage as well as stealths you. On a crit, this actually crits pretty high to about 2500. So you want to use this as your opening skill. So my personal skill chain kind of revolves around casting my elite skill, stealing, and using Cloak and Dagger, and then backstab. Here's what happens when you get the full combo. Let me see if I can get on that guy. 3k crit off, steal alone, and then follow up crits. He's just disregarding any other attacks that was coming his way. Even if it was a one-on-one, it really would not have lasted that long because those crits hit hard, especially for Scholar armor. Now on to our short bow, which is our range and AoE weapon set. Starting off with Trick Shot, this is another one that surprised me quite nicely because I didn't think it was going to hit this high. So Trick Shot, it bounces between 3 targets with the possibility of hitting a target twice if you only have 2 targets in its line in its path. So it does about 600 non-crit and about 1400 to 1500 crit damage. So that is a really nice crit damage coming in from something that costs 0 initiative. Cluster Bomb, this one is really nice because the amount of damage that it's capable of doing. So the thing with Cluster Bomb, you got 2 options. You can shoot it and explode it right before it hits the air, and it does 2 damages. It does about 1000 from the first explosion and then 300 based on the mini explosions that go out. I personally don't like to explode it and instead kind of want to spread out that large damage boost overall, and the amount of damage it does looks kind of like this in World vs. World. So the rest of the weapon skills are kind of mediocre. I'm assuming you guys know what to use each one. Choking Gas, I don't use it that much. I only use it when I'm attacking keeps because of the Poison Cloud actually goes above where the people are standing, so it can actually reach them. For our weapon skills, we have Hide in Shadows. For the utility, 3 utility skills, we have Devour Venom, Signet of Shadows, and Shadow Refuge. Devour Venom, we want to make sure that your target's immobilized, especially when you're attacking them with Heart Seekers and whatnot. You don't want them to dodge, so because of that, I picked up Devour Venom. Signet of Shadows is a nice, I want to say a free slot. You can either pick Signet of Shadows or Signet of Agility. I personally do either or depending on what situation is. For example, if I'm roaming and I'm attacking targets on the run, I want to pick up Signet of Shadows so I can close that distance because of the innate passive 25% increase to movement speed. If I am defending or attacking keeps where my movement is kind of irrelevant, I don't really walk around or whatever, then I pick up Signet of Agility, which gives me extra chance to crit, as well as it refills my endurance and cures a condition for me and all nearby allies. Shadow Refuge, we picked that up so we can revive. That's pretty much the primary reason I picked that up. This puts a nice little stealth field around where anybody that comes in gets stealth. So this comes clutch when you're trying to revive somebody. The next, the elite skill we pick up is Basilisk Venom. Primary reason for picking this one up is because it synergizes really well with Steel's Mug ability. Basically, you pop Basilisk Venom, and then when you steal from a target, you apply that stun to that steal. So this build is probably one of my favorite PVE / World vs. World build that I've come across, only because the other build that I've seen that's viable in PVE is the condition build that I've seen around, the bleed build that I've done in the past. Unfortunately, when it comes to World vs. World and dynamic events, where there's multiple people that's attacking its targets. Bleed build, it doesn't really work out too well because of the 25 stack limit, and oftentimes when I was doing it I found that I was getting silver and bronze because I wasn't doing too much damage because my 25 stacks were constantly being pushed off to the end because somebody else was applying their own bleed. Overall, I like the versatility of this build. I don't really need to change anything if I'm jumping into world versus world. I don't need to change anything if I'm doing dungeons. All the stats are constantly, it's useful to other builds. I can easily switch out my double dagger and pick up sword pistol. I can, switch my short bow off to double pistols if I want. So it offers me that versatility and viability. So this brings me to the end of the video. Let me know what you guys think about the build. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave it in the comment section. If you want to see more Thief builds, subscribe, like the video, and I will hopefully see you guys in World vs. World so you can face me finally. And take care.